to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press the Start Broadcast to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, guys. Microphone check, please. Awesome. Okay. All right, good evening. It's Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the Sunday Night Strategy podcast for July 19th, 2020. I reserved the Sunday night podcast to review swing trades that you have framed and posted in Campfire. None were posted, so I'm just going to go straight into the speed run of the weekend portfolio. The Sunday night podcast will be as useful to you as you make it. It's a chance to get commentary from me on your trade frames. So I'm going to work on my trade frames tonight. All right, Alcoa. This is, let me slide this up a little bit. Yeah. So in each case, I'm going to be using a form of that modified or the multi-time frame, multi-lens analysis. And that always starts with the 4 seasons of MACD. And although the RL10 shows shows that pretty well in the color, just for the purposes of tonight, I'm going to expand the MACD 4 seasons just to get a better view. And some things that I like. Okay, that's not good. All right. I like that we've just gotten back into the summer and it dipped briefly into the winter, as you can see. I like the expanding Z3 lines and the fact that this is curling up. That feels very good to me. Let's try the pen. Yeah, let's try the pen instead. Yeah, I like this. God, that's still horrible. It's no good. Well, that pen just does not work with that web-based annotator and go to webinars, so we won't do that. That's basically the sideways range box that I'm seeing the breakout in. So Alcoa is very powerful to the upside. That's going to be good. High priority. This little formation down in here is very good. Now if it gets above that price level there, it should be free and clear all the way to there. Yeah, Alcoa is looking good. The last time we visited Apple, we had seen, that's just frustrating as can be. Yeah, last time we'd seen Apple, we noticed this. We have this little breakout here because we had seen this box. And let's try this. Yeah, that looks better. I think a breakout of that box above 390 is an automatic buy, and then a breakdown below this this PSAR dot would feel significant. And then we'd look at these as support levels in the usual way. Feels natural and easy. Amazon. This looks to me to be a buy on dip opportunity. I think I would play this one in either direction. Let's see, next one, Cliff. Cliff Natural Resources. We're early in the spring. It's got a pretty tight range clustered around the Bollinger Band mean. I think you got to respect the PSAR dot on that before you would get short. I could see getting short inside this space here, but if it gets to the PSAR, you definitely got to be short. But I'm ready to play the breakout to the upside on this one, and I would be looking at these as price levels. In DIA, we're long from here. I think you got to respect the stop right about there. I wouldn't get short until it broke down below the edge of the dragon, or edge of the edge of the dragon is where I'd get short. Boy, Devon Energy is just in such a tight little range that I think a breakout here could be very useful. And I think the upside is the more interesting one because it has failed to fail further. And the belly of the RL10 has a strong support level. That's a critical state right there. So I'm gonna prioritize that one for a hybrid trading in the morning, and then ready to break out in either direction. Emerging markets are in a holding pattern. I think they're waiting for the U.S. to really show what we've got. I think I'm ready to go in either direction again. They would have an advantage given that the emerging markets seem to be managing the COVID better than the U.S. And I still like this on the long side. Yeah. Twitch was back here. So I think that's got more potential to the upside than the US actually. ERY I'm just going to throw in here as another quick look at XLE because this is triple inverse of that. I like the fact that it has held at the Bollinger Band mean like it did here. And after the Bollinger Band mean, when it broke out, you got this kind of a move. So I'm looking for that kind of a move to the upside here. And then downside, the support level is here. And that would also be the target to the downside. So I think you could play this one in either direction. Yeah. So those are your two gain boxes. And then, yeah, that's where the second, you want a second scoop in by the time it gets to the belly of the dragon at 42. Because if that breaks, if 42 breaks, then it's coming much lower. Yep, ready for Japan in a breakout either way. It almost feels like the whole world just holding its breath right now. Mexico in perfect position here with this very tight box in here. And that's a breakout in either direction. Start that with a hybrid trade, a hybrid frog intraday. Brazil is in even better shape and is more favored to the upside. We have that nice tight range, and the fact that you got this little doji action here above that sideways channel. Now we're looking for this kind of a move up to the top of that box, up to Z3 with a downside target here. I think you got to get short at if it breaks below that skin of the dragon. I think that's where I would get short at. So I'm much more in favor of the upside on this one. Facebook. Still respecting the long here. And stop would be here. And I think if it breaks out above that box, I think you can add a position. There was an opportunity for it really to fail further here, but it didn't. And in the same way that it came roaring back here, Facebook is a must buy for the future, or it's a must own for the future, I should say. And are you going to get it much cheaper than that? I don't know. Not a high priority for me, though. Google. Still respecting the long from here. It's mired in that sideways. There has been some upside pressure. So I think you got to buy that in here. Yeah. If it breaks out above that Friday's high, I think that's a strong buy. IWM. Again, we've got us just coming up into the summer from spring. You combine that in here with this. Yeah, I like the upside. I would get short I think here, the break of the Bollinger Band mean, second position at the PSAR. I'd be looking to add a second position at this PSAR flip, so that's your upside target. You want to have a second position crossing that northern line. Microsoft. This is troublesome here. I had been very optimistic on this all the way back in here. And then the breakout to the upside here was rewarded. Second position here. But this weakness is problematic. I'm a buyer of it, though, on this breakout with a really with support here at the Bollinger Band mean. I don't know how you don't own Microsoft. So I think we're going to buy that. Nikola Motors. Mostly an intraday trade play, but I'm ready to play a swing trade short on this one. If it breaks through that, then I'm ready to get short that. And then I think you want a second position by the time that it breaks below that line. Where would I buy it? I think that's where I would buy it. If it breaks above, I might even go a little bit lower on that. No, that's about where I think I like it. I just think they are so speculative that the safer trade is to the downside. New core steel. XLB's been good. This is just, has entered the spring. PSAR just flipped. It's finding support at the edge of the dragon. So I think, I'll buy that breakout. And I would get short that at the PSAR dot. Virgin Galactic. Start this one with a day trade. It's clearly broken out of that long sideways. And if you're already long, I think you got to put the stop right here. And I'd be ready to start this with some more intraday. I'm ready to go in either direction on that one. And that would be top 3 for hybrid trading tomorrow morning. Here's another high priority, and that's just because of this Brutal sideways quiet channel. I'm ready to go in either direction on that one. That's a top 5. And I think that's going down. Let's go to treasuries. Treasuries are feeling good. You know, well into the summer. Has held off the selling pressure pretty well. I think you could add on a new 10-day high around 168. And I think there's strong support here at the PSAR. Tesla just can't understand it. That to me is that's just a speculative play on the basis of all those 10,000 Robinhood investors per hour. For me, that's only intraday. But there's no follow through with big money on that, which explains the sideways. It feels like it's fairly priced right now. I'm staying away from that. Twitter, I like the way that closed. So if it can break above this, I am long. And if it breaks below about, yeah, I'll say the skin of the dragon, then I'm short. So that's my trade right there. Top 5. USO oil. That's about as Z3P as you can get right there. And we're close to getting a super pinch, and that's going to take about 5 more days for the green line to get up into the box. But meanwhile, I think you can play the Z3 breakout in either direction. It has come back to long-term fair value, holding steady at 29. BXX, this pattern from last week is favoring the long side because volatility is declining. I think where I would have the I would put it, I am putting a tripwire in on this one right here, so that if we get a volatility spike, I'm going to get surprised into that position, and that's my insurance in case we get a runaway move to the downside. And the reason for that is that I don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about it. If we get one of these kinds of moves over here, I want you to notice how effectively that that PSAR flip trailing purchase can be. Try that again. Get my line straight here. There's my trend line. So that's what we're looking for there, and that's what is to protect us against that kind of runaway move. Because you'll notice that when this thing breaks, when it makes its big moves, those breaks always occur in these large 1-day directional moves. So I don't want to overthink that. I want to be pulled into that position on the basis of that green line. Walmart. Well into the summer. This is all really good. And I'll play the breakout in either direction on that one. I really want it to be to the long side, though. But when this thing collapses, again, you'll notice it collapses like it did over here. Those can be big collapses after a nice run up. So I'm mindful of a strong swing in either direction. Wheaton Precious is just winning. So that's this move. And again, my stop would be, I think, at the spine of the dragon, and then I will add to any breakout and keep going because it has now cleared the previous hump of the dragon, and so defense is winning here. I'm going to go take a look at the weekly on this one real quick. Free and clear. Nothing but good. Win. This is a classic. Ready to break at the Bollinger Band mean with a nice tight box there. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's what I like. Win is going to, that's another top 5 directional play tomorrow with the hybrid frog. Ready to go in either direction. And I'll play the breakout as a swing. U.S. Steel, much better shape than Nucor. And let's try to preserve these gains. Got rejected at the Bollinger Band mean, but it's finding support at the dragon, so I'll play that breakout. In either direction. And add a second position if it breaks below the dragon. Yeah. Materials are just dominating there. That's the trade frame. And still long from here. Like an XLB Energy has had a nice recovery from this excursion down to Z2, but now it's starting to pull back. So this is where that ERY trade could really be amazing. Because if this thing fails, then it's going to come all the way back to here. So I want a second position if it breaks right about there. Yeah, that's going to be a high price for me. Finance, boy, it didn't really participate in the big gains last week, but it sure is pinching in here. Either direction. That one feels more up, though. I think there was enough talk from the talking heads about the big banks trying to push their symbols to their clients, and they've successfully got through the earnings. Finance has some real possibilities. Tech was able to defeat the forces of evil. So I'll play that one in either direction there. 2 dojis have no follow through to the upside, but it didn't fail further. But it is on the edge of the river, So I just think next week is show and tell time. And is tech going to resume its leadership role? And here's who has the leadership role. Successfully broke out of there. Still respecting our long position from over here. And the fact that it held support back here. So any breakout above this, and off it goes. Consumer discretionary. This is doing better than tech. So I think you can add to this position here. Where would I get short? I wouldn't get short until the Bollinger Band mean though. I just think that's a strong support level. And then finally XOP. You know, that's going to go the way of, whoops, that's not. It's going to go the way of energy. So here's that real tight range. You could almost call that range here. I think that's, I'm ready to break out in either direction on that one. That's a top 5 trader right there. So lots of things to choose from. There's a lot of symbols in a holding pattern, a lot of sectors in a holding pattern, but some clear winners there. Materials and healthcare are really dominating. I think the emerging markets looks attractive. U.S. Steel looks good to me. And Microsoft looks good to me because it's pulled back so far and there's an opportunity to get in on a fire sale. All of these, I'm saying, start with intraday turbo trades and then let the market's intraday move pull you into a swing position. I still think that's the right way to play. All right, guys. Next week, take advantage of me. If you want me to take a look at your trade frames, I'm happy to do it, but you got to post your work. I'm not going to comment on work that you don't do. All right, I just did. That's everything I got. Got some more other work to do tonight. So let's be well rested and well prepared for tomorrow. You know what you got to do. Take good care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.